Welcome back to Spill the Milk. I'm your host, Nikki. I'm a registered nurse, board certified lactation consultant, and I have been helping moms and babes breastfeed for over 20 years. So, something that really just fires me up every single week is the unbelievably harmful breastfeeding advice that moms are still getting from providers, families, and the internet. If you've ever been made to feel like your body is broken, or your baby is too much because of breastfeeding, this episode, well, it's going to hit home because here's the truth. Most breastfeeding issues don't come from a mom's body failing. They come from bad guidance. And so I want to first start talking about this confidence crisis that we're in. Let's just call it out. Moms aren't struggling because breastfeeding is impossible. Okay? They're struggling because they're told to ignore instincts. They're told to feed on a schedule instead of feeding on demand when your baby wants to eat. They're told their milk is not enough at the very first hiccup in anything. Every time a mom hears, your baby shouldn't need you that much, it chips away at confidence and interrupts the normal physiology of breastfeeding. And then everyone acts shocked when supply suffers. We don't want you ignoring those instincts. We want to teach you that your instincts are right. And your first instinct should be, this baby could be hungry. But by trying to impress upon you that there needs to be restrictions on the amount of time your baby spends on breast or how many times you're offering, we aren't helping you. You're also getting told to feed on a schedule. Listen, you need to feed your baby when it's hungry. Putting off a feed isn't going to help your baby grow. And we need to stop acting like a baby needs a schedule. No, here's what a baby needs. They need to grow. They need to grow. And you can't make a baby grow if you're only feeding them when the clock says and not when they want. So we've got to really focus in on that. Some of my biggest icks are when providers try to tell the moms that their milk just isn't enough. Why are you saying that? Unless you put that milk underneath a microscope and you studied the composition of it, it's less likely the milk. And we need to stop blaming moms. So, we're going to go over some of the worst advice I've heard in consultations over the last couple of weeks. And you guys may have picked up on some of this in my TikTok videos, but we're going to start in and I'm going to give you some solutions to them. All right. These are just the top offenders that came across my desk in the last couple weeks. Cluster feeding means your milk is low. Top up with formula. No. Cluster feeding is the biological way babies build supply. It's also the way that they gain weight and they get what they need. See, these little bitty babies who are cluster feeding don't really have the energy to sit there and take full feeds. Sometimes they have the energy to get satiated, fall asleep, wake up, go back to breast. That's cluster feeding. And we don't want to fix that because your baby's learning to start taking longer feeds, but they need the practice and they need an unlimited amount of practice at breast to do this. Cluster feeding also gives you the opportunity to practice latch multiple times a day. So, cluster feeding does not mean your milk is low. This is another one that I hear a lot in that newborns should eat every 3 hours. No, they shouldn't. Newborns should eat when they're hungry. But by the 3rd hour, until they gain their birth weight back. So what does that look like? You feed them on demand and you use those early signs of hunger, like them opening their eyes and licking the air and just kind of starting to wake up. Those are hunger signs in your newborn, and you need to bring them to breast. You do not want to wait for 3 hours. Breast milk is used in the gut in less than an hour. So yeah, sometimes hourly feeding is normal and natural, and we need to do this. Babies are not clocks. They're humans, right? If breastfeeding hurts, your nipples need to be toughened up. This is very old school advice. Very, very, very old school advice. Pain means that something needs to be assessed, not endured. You've got a latch problem. Seek help. Get that latch to where it needs to be. Pain is an indication that something's wrong, okay? Every single time. Pumping once or twice a day will tell so what this means, what they're trying to tell you is pump a couple of times a day to see how much you're making. That's horrible. Pumping is not a baby. A baby does the best work. A baby removes milk better than a pump. You get that warm baby on you and you get that surge of oxytocin. That's how you make that milk. Nursing and pumping are not the same measurement. It's not. Pumping is a hard plastic part you're putting to your breast and you're stressed out because now you're watching your milk flow. A baby, you get the warm and fuzzies. Pumping does not equal baby. Okay, so this is a good one. If baby is fussy on the breast, switch to bottles. They're easier. Okay, we don't fix breastfeeding challenges by quitting breastfeeding. That's not how you fix it. That's not going to make it easier for you. Now you're going to have to pump and put it in a bottle to put it in your baby. That's not how you fix it. If your milk isn't fully in by day 3, it isn't coming. Milk transition can vary. It takes days 3 to 7 for your milk to fully come in. And I'm going to explain to you why this is not the truth in every case. You need to understand that it takes a while for the estrogen and progesterone that your placenta was spitting out to get out of your system. So when you're about 16 weeks pregnant, your body has a very high level of prolactin. Well, there's 2 other hormones that are present because the placenta is present, and they are progesterone and estrogen. Those 2 things cancel out prolactin. They cancel it out. So you've got colostrum. You don't have milk yet. The reason milk comes, and contrary to what people are being told in the hospital, the reason milk comes isn't because now you're pumping. It's because your body is no longer receiving that progesterone and estrogen, and it's allowing prolactin to be alone and to work and bring you milk. That's how it works. You have colostrum before that, and you only have a very small amount of time where your body makes colostrum, and your baby needs it, and that's why your body's making it. So don't be fooled by someone who tells you you need to start pumping so your milk comes in faster. That's not going to make your milk come in faster. Shedding your placenta is what signals milk production needs to happen. But again, you still have progesterone and estrogen flowing, and until it's gone from your body, those prolactin levels cannot act alone. All right, here's another one. You should only pump for 15 minutes no matter what. No. You should be pumping in order to get 3 to 4 letdowns in a pumping session. You pump for letdowns, not for ounces. But listen, here's the other trick. Once you hit 4 ounces, you're done. You should be done. Because 2 to 4 ounces is a normal amount to replace a feed. So then you should stop. Some moms are done in 10 minutes. They get their couple of letdowns, they get their ounces they need, and they move on. Everybody responds differently. Output matters more than a timer. If baby wants to feed again within an hour, something is wrong. No, that's not true either. That's cluster feeding, and that's right. If breast milk is digested in an hour and your baby wants to feed again in an hour, do it. Just do it. It's quite possible that they're hungry. And until you understand cluster feeding, you may fight that. But what you need to understand is that babies aren't too hungry. They're normal. They're just hungry, so just feed them. This is a good one. Pacifiers and breast milk can't mix. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. But do I have certain strategies behind why I tell you, hey, can you wait until around 4 weeks to start that pacifier? Yeah, I want you to get good at reading hunger signs and feeding cues. But you can give your breast milk fed baby a pacifier, especially after a full feeding session is done. You can do that. The timing and the intention behind it is the important part. Once you introduce a bottle, breastfeeding is basically over. No, it's not. Don't let somebody scare you. Not if we manage flow, pacing, and latch. It's not over. Pacing the feed is going to help baby transition smoothly back and forth. Now, this is one that I can tell you took me a little while to learn. Flange size doesn't matter. Suction is what counts. Flange size does matter. It matters a whole lot, and I have helped a whole lot of moms figure out why it's so important. Your areola does not belong in that flange, sister. It does not. It will reduce your output exponentially if your flanges don't fit correctly. Flange fit is everything for comfort and for output. I also had a mom tell me that her mother-in-law said her baby's going to overheat if you hold them skin to skin. That's wrong. Skin to skin helps regulate your baby's temperature and helps with feeding cues. Did you know your temperature fluctuates to meet your baby's needs? We're magic. Triple feeding is always necessary for weight gain concerns. You guys know that this one is just not going to fly for me. Triple feeding is not the answer for hardly anything. It's just not. There are so many other avenues to take when it comes to triple feeding, and so little investigation is truly done to see if that's the solution. The solution to a slow to gain baby is not to triple feed. It's to sit with mom, show her what hunger signs and feeding cues look like. It's to sit with her and ask her, hey, how many times a day are you nursing? Are you feeding on demand? This is what demand looks like. So many low or slow to gain babies can simply be fixed by more exposure to breast and sitting with moms in those moments, not giving her more work to do. Educate her. Tongue ties are the cause of almost all breastfeeding problems. Revise early. I really am going to struggle to be nice here. Jumping to surgery without addressing latch first is not evidence-based. It's not. And tongue ties and revisions, the true numbers out there that represent the need for them are 1% to 3% of babies truly need the revision. And those moms have fully explored latch. They've sat with lactation consultants and they've worked the problem. The biggest problem with latch is moms just need support and they need education on how to do it. Clipping a tongue is not going to help that. You guys need to get up to date on some of that evidence that's out there. I also had a mom tell me, and she came to me crying because she was told she can't exclusively breastfeed because she's had a breast reduction. And basically, she was just told, don't even bother trying. That one crushed more dreams than I can count. And it's not true for everyone. I see a lot of moms who've had reconstructive surgery, augmentation, all kinds of things, and they breastfeed successfully. Here's what I want to tell you. You don't know unless you try. And when somebody tells me I can't do something, now I really want to try because I want to prove to them I can. So we don't know if it's going to affect you until we try. But to tell you not to do it at all, oh my gosh, that's setting you up for failure. So where I think this advice comes from, most of this advice is not malicious. It's outdated. And unfortunately, many providers have zero or outdated breastfeeding education. Hospital culture still prioritizes discharge charts over breastfeeding support. Internet parenting spaces are loud and they are confident, but they're not necessarily correct. Family members are repeating what they were told too. And so this is just kind of where some of this advice comes from. And I think a lot of ways we can combat this is by simply saying 6 words. When you start getting a lot of information on breastfeeding and you're questioning it from the person who's giving it to you, there are 6 words you can ask that person. How long did you breastfeed for? That's it. If the person that's giving you advice says, oh, I didn't breastfeed, great. You don't have to listen to them. If the person who's giving you advice says, I breastfed for 2 years, it was really hard in the beginning, but it was amazing towards the end, that's probably a person you want in your corner. Outdated information. We need to avoid it at all costs. I'm going to tell you what you deserve. Here's the support that actually helps breastfeeding. Feed baby based on cues, not on the clock. Now, you guys know, clock feeding. Don't do it. Don't tempt yourself. Feed on demand, but by the 3rd hour until baby regains birth weight. Then once baby regains birth weight, it's simply feed on demand. Demand are those early signs of hunger, the licking the air, the opening their eyes, the slight little grunting, the moving around. Crying is a late sign. You missed some signs before the cry. So, feed baby based on cues. Expect cluster feeding. It's a supply building, weight gaining tool. And it's latch practice, and you need it. If you're in pain, someone should fix that latch for you. They should not be telling you, tough it out. You shouldn't have to tough it out. I offer all kinds of ways to get latch training, and I specialize in teaching latch, and I do it time and time and time again. And a lot of times it's just little bitty tricks of the trade that help you. But get yourself in a place where you learn latch. If weight gain is slow, make sure somebody assesses feeds, and don't automatically eliminate the breast as the source of the feed. If weight gain is slow, that doesn't mean low supply. Again, weight gain that's slow could simply mean mom needs more support and education. Baby needs more exposure to the breast. Baby wanting you is very normal. It's not a flaw. Your baby spent 9 months cuddled up inside your uterus, being held very, very tight. It heard your muffled voice and your beating heart. And then they were born. And then people were touching them from the outside. They couldn't make those little slight movements because they were so used to when they made a movement in utero, it was like this. And now if they try to move like that, they feel like they're falling. You are their safe space. There's nothing wrong with your baby. Your baby's just scared, and they're in a new environment. And by putting them on you, they're in a much safer space. Biggest and most of all, you guys deserve realistic expectations, not pressure, and definitely not shame. So the message I want all of you to hear is, if you've been told your milk wasn't enough, your baby was too needy, or your instincts were wrong, I want you to hear the opposite loud and clear. Are you ready? Your baby reaches for you because you are safety. Your body responds to your baby because that's how biology works. Feeding on demand does not spoil a baby, protects your supply, and gives you good attachment to your baby. Moms are not failing. They are being failed. If this episode made you think, wow, I've heard that advice too, you are absolutely not alone. And if you need support that doesn't shame you, blame you, or rush you, you're always going to find it with me right here. If you want to take this deeper, you can follow me on my social media pages. I will attach them in the description. Go to my Patreon page where you can find me in my community. Schedule a consultation. Do all the things. You're going to hear real mom stories and real solutions, not scare tactics. Your body isn't the problem. Bad advice is. And I hope you guys can muffle your way through some of this bad advice that you've been given and find support and guidance. Again, join me. I'm here for you. This is what I want for you. And I want it just as bad as you do. Follow me. Again, visit me in my many, many, many social media pages. Schedule a virtual consultation. All those links you're going to find in the description of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Spill the Milk. Again, my name's Nikki, registered nurse, board-certified lactation consultant, 20 or more years experience helping moms and babes, and I've seen tens of thousands of them. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your journey, and your trust means the world to me.